Starlink. It gives you high-speed internet wherever you go, but how can you install it onto a car and get the best reception wherever you travel? The answer is creating a DIY bracket that aligns the dish to give you the best reception wherever you pull up camp. This video reveals the truth on Starlink, its reliability, and how different conditions can make or break this product. So with the Starlink now out of the box, this is pretty much ready to go. If you just want to use it, carry it inside the car, bring it out. It's even got a kickstand, you can kick it out, put it on the grass out there, point it towards the sky, and it's ready to go. You've got power cable included and a 240 volt plug. So it's literally, if you just want to get Starlink internet on your car, this is all you need to do. But we're going further than that in today's episode. What I want to do is actually mount this on my car permanently, and I want to run it off 12 volt as well, so it's better power efficiency. So it's always on, it's always ready, and we have internet no matter if we're driving, at camp, wherever, we've got it. Now, the issue of mounting Starlink to a rooftop tent is when the rooftop tent opens, it's going to angle the dish on a very harsh angle, up to about 45 degrees, which if you read through the manual, this thing ideally wants to be mounted either on the flat or actually on a 10-degree tilt to the south. And well, the car's not facing south, it's facing north, and on an angle like that, I'm not sure this is actually going to work. So my idea is we need to flatten out this dish, so when it's up like that, we're not pointing off into nowhere. So the idea is going to be to use some sort of hinge mechanism to make the dish level itself while it's up there on the tent, which should give me perfect service. Now, when you're mounting to a vehicle, there's obviously a few different ways you can go about it. If you want to go the very basic route, they make like literally suction cups, so you can suction cup this to your car. They make magnets, but then if you want to go a bit further, you can actually get some permanent mounting solutions. So we've actually gone a slightly different way, actually by 3D printing our own mount. This is a free 3D print file I found online, and Dan's got a 3D printer, and he printed out this mount for me, and it's actually very cool how it all works. So this is the original kickstand. All you got to do is squeeze that pops out. And our new 3D printer mount, which by the way, I think with a 3D printer, this only costs about 15 bucks to print, so it's pretty straightforward. It's printed in ASA if anyone's interested, so it's a very high durable plastic that's also weather resistant, so this stuff is like solid, it's not gonna break. This pops right in here. You'll hear it click, and that is like not going anywhere. But for extra reinforcement, we've got these brackets here, which will go on either side of the Starlink. And that can now essentially mount to any roof rack, T-channel, any bolt. It's very universal, which is what I like. And the other thing about it is it's very quick to take on and off the roof, because the main thing for me, I wanted this to be, the ability to take it off the roof if, say, we're parked under a tree where I don't have service on the roof, or say I'm leaving the car in a car park all day. I don't really want my father-in-law Starlink dish sitting out there in the open. The idea was to have this mount very quick and easy to both take off, but also put back on. So without further ado, we're gonna get stuck into the engineering, because we actually don't know how we're gonna mount this thing yet. We've got to design some sort of bracketry system that's gonna fit around my solar panels and everything on my rooftop tent, and hopefully figure out a way to make this all work.
So firstly, Liam and I are not engineers, but we're going to give this a crack to design ourselves, because at the time of making this video, a solution like this does not exist on the market. And in true Aussie Arvos fashion, we're going to be building it by hand with materials we have lying around in our shed at home.
That's solid as.
The first thing we're building is the frame for the mount. In order to keep the Starlink from shading the solar panels on the rooftop tent, we've built a bracket to space it off towards the top of the tent. This will also give us the best signal possible, as it'll sit at the highest point of the rooftop tent when it's open. We're lucky enough to have a heap of hardware lying around from previous rooftop tent and awning installations, but all this hardware is relatively inexpensive and can be easily found at your local hardware store.
Going anywhere in a hurry?
Nah, that's solid as.
Attaching to the frame is a channel rail that the 3D printed Starlink brackets will run in. T-channel is super lightweight but also very strong, so it's the perfect mounting hardware if you want to be able to take accessories on and off the vehicle. Now this first bit of channel we found was a little thick for our liking, but we managed to find some thinner T-channel that would be the perfect mix of strength and weight for our Starlink dish. Next was for us to build the hinge mechanism that would allow us to align the dish when the rooftop tent is open. For this, we're using a simple stainless steel strap hinge that we bolt to the frame and then to the T-channel, allowing the Starlink dish to articulate.
Right, so that goes in there. Maybe I'll just
That looks sick!
Maybe I'll just put a...
That actually looks freaking good, Liam. So now that we've created our hinge mechanism that the Starlink's actually going to go up and down on, we need a way to actually hold it up there when we open the tent. And to do that, we're going to be using a gas strut. So this is just a gas strut we had lying around the shed. It's actually a spare one off our King Chrome toolkit. So It's kind of the perfect length. This is rated for 100 newtons, so it is quite a lot.
That's kind of we're hoping it's not too strong, but there's only one way to find out.
So the idea, Liam's making out some aluminium little corner brackets there, and essentially it's going to be able to go there and then lift the unit automatically. That's the idea. As I said, this is very much engineering on the fly here. We don't really have a plan. We're sort of just going as we go. This looks like some sort of cannon. Catapult. I feel like I always need some eye protection on for this.
It's not gonna freaking explode.
You never know. We built it.
So pretty much the test is, how much force does it take to shut?
Ah.
Oh no, so that's wanting to move. That is moving. So what I might quickly do, and this will have extra weight on it too.
Oh!
Alright, not even. But it is pushing it across a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
But it did actually work.
That's solid as, eh? That's not gonna bloody... The wind ain't gonna move that. You're gonna have high performance internet at all times of the day with this. Wow, that's probably our most complex invention yet.
Potentially.
So if we go to pop the tent, we'll deploy the Starlink bracket. It just pops up like that. Unlock the tent, push it up, and then by rights, dude, the reception's gonna be perfect up there. It's a little bit, we can adjust it, yeah, so we just need to adjust that a little bit, but it's not bad, eh?
So with the prototype working, we could then pop rivet the gas strut tab onto the bracket along with our new alignment channel.
Like that. That's already way better.
Hold it nice and center.
Hopefully it should, when you go down, it should be pretty easy to just...
Yeah, 100%, yeah, definitely. So now Liam's pretty much made this completely. It's actually functioning really well, but our next biggest problem was figuring out how to actually keep this clamped down so over corrugated roads and long distances, it doesn't just bounce its way open on the gas strut. So this was actually quite hard to figure out how to do this because we wanted a solution that was obviously elegant, looked nice, but was also super easy and not having to like bolt it down with 10 million latches or anything. It had to be something easy because this is something we're gonna have to be erecting every single day. Now we were trying to find something in the shed that would make it work and we managed to find this. Now this is a cabinet latch. Basically is just two brackets that go between each other, have a little spring tension and a ball bearing in there, and they snap in and stay together really tight. Now, we've tested around this and it does not move. It's really, really solid. And between our channel here that actually locks this from moving left to right, with this as well at the top, it shouldn't move. That's what we're doing there. Now, we are adding one safety human mechanism, and that is this piece of Velcro, which I was actually sewing last night on a sewing machine. Well, by hand actually, if you can believe it. It's gonna go underneath here. We're gonna rivet it onto the platform. And this is gonna be just another manual, I guess, override, just in case that cabinet latch was to fail or anything. There's a piece of Velcro that's gonna be keeping this down as well. But also Velcro's like a 2-second job to peel it on and off. So that's not too hard either. So that's sort of the solution we've got going. Hopefully we're not far off and this thing's gonna be working.
So by rights.
So by rights, this should. That is not going anywhere. That is solid.
Is it gonna come up?
Yep. That is, it's a tight fit, but a good fit, because you want it to be tight.
Oh, yeah, that's okay.
I'd almost trust that without the Velcro, like that is solid.
Well, Velcro can just be a
Safety,
area.
but that
and Velcro,
is
like, that's
not
never gonna
going
go
anywhere, dude. Tell you what, that's probably the most
let's put it on the
impressive
car.
thing we've ever built on the channel.
Let's put it on the car and see how it works
Yes.
in practice.
Yeah.
Because still might be crap. We don't know.
Clip in like so, then push that one back down, tighten up, bottom one in, line her up, slide her in the channel, tighten it up. That is so easy. All right, your Starlink's now in, you drop her down, locks in, your safety strap, just back up.
Set this one.
So you've been driving all day, you get to camp, you just keep Velcro off, and then just put your hands behind it. And it comes up, gas struts do the work, and then obviously deploy your rooftop tent. And up we go. Now, is it on the right angle? Looks pretty good. That is sick. Oh no, it's not even moving. I'm barely moving. Yeah. How cool is that? And not to mention the rooftop tent lifts with the weight on.
Oh yeah, I reckon that whole setup would weigh like two kilos maybe.
Oh, exactly. But I just love it how simple it is. You finish with your tent for the night, pop it back down, lock it in, and you strap.
Yeah, I think that's easier
and
than
away
any
you go.
Twisty crap.
And you can't get it wrong. You can't accidentally not tighten it up enough or whatever.
Exactly. All you have to do is just snap in. And
like
then...
that bracket is so solid. Like it's not. The only play in this is from that hinge. Yeah. Literally the only bit of play is from the hinge, which it's a hinge. You can't. It's got to be able to move freely inside.
Wow, so they're not like precision machining.
So if you had a precision machined hinge, you'd probably get it perfect. But like, I think this is going to be absolutely fine for what we're doing. That is sick.
Yeah, all seems to sit level, and it's haven't had to put anything on the top of there.
Nah, not blocking the solar. Perfect.
So being happy with how it was all working, we could then strip it down for painting so it blends in nice with the top of the rooftop tent. We then reassemble it all with Loctite before installing it back onto the car.
Alright, so there's a few ways to actually power the Starlink. The first one and the most easiest one is of course what comes in the kit, and that is a 240 volt power brick. Now, all this is doing is taking your 240 volt power from your, say, inverter or whatever, converting it back down to 30 volts for the Starlink, and then feeding it up in this big, long DC cable. Now, that's a perfectly fine option. You can do that if you're not wanting to do a heap of wiring, but there are efficiency losses in going from your 12 volt battery through your inverter up to 240 volts, then across to this, which then's got to take it back from 240 down to 30 volts. So there is an efficiency loss there, and especially if you're living out of the car full time, you want to maximize as much power as you possibly can. So then the alternative is to keep it running on DC power, and you can do that still pretty easily by using something like a Siggy plug. So this is just a 130 watt Siggy to USB-C. Now you gotta make sure you get a high output power one because the Starlink does require a bit of power, especially on startup. It requires up to 60 watts. Now you can buy cables online which go USB Type-C to the Starlink. So if you get yourself a high output Siggy plug, these are a good option. I've seen this work for many people and they seem to have no problems with it. But what I'm going to be doing, and what I think is probably the best solution if you want it one and done, is actually using a step-up or buck converter. Now what this is doing essentially is upping the power from your 12 volts up to 30 volts. So this is the right voltage that the Starlink requires, and that's essentially what this power brick does here. But instead of having to take it from 240 to 30, it's doing it from 12 volts to 30. So these are a lot more efficient, they're tiny, and then you can wire all the way up to your roof in just 12 volt cable, and that even comes with a link straight in to plug into your Starlink. So I think this is a fairly cheap option. You can pick up these up for like 30, 40, 50 bucks. And if you're any good with the soldering iron, you can set this up quite easily yourself.
The other cable I got, which I highly recommend if you are fixed mounting your Starlink, was actually a DC extension cable, so it makes it a lot easier to unplug the Starlink when you're removing it from the mount. Now for our first test run, we're going to be running the Starlink off the included 240 volt plug and cable just to make sure everything is working correctly. And with the little blue light illuminating from the dish, it was time to sit down and set up the connection.
All right, so just gone through and set up Starlink just through my phone through the Starlink app. It was a pretty straightforward process. And even if you don't have internet, the dish will give you internet for an hour just to get yourself signed up. Now, one thing I'll mention when you sign up, it's good if you use your mate's referral link. So I have a mate who's already got Starlink. He can give you his referral link, and that gives me a free month of Starlink and him a free month of Starlink. So it's worth knowing that. I'll also have my referral link here if anyone wants to get a free month using my link. Of course, I'll get a free month. So use this if you wish, but then obviously pass it on. So once you get Starlink, give it to a mate and he'll give you a month and he gets a month free as well. So now with it on there, I want to do some testing and see how this thing works. Oh, and I'm connected. We're on Starlink. Oh, it's definitely working. Well, I mean, I just pressed doing a speed test. I was getting 250 megabits per second down, 200, nearly 300. Just scrubbing through YouTube, there's no buffering. Like it just loads.
Now you might think we're getting a little excited here, and that's because we are used to having some very slow internet where we live, and this new Starlink is about 10 times faster than our usual internet connection. So with Starlink well and truly working, it was time to wire it up for 12 volts, and this required running a 12 volt wire up to the top of the tent where the buck converter and dish is located. Being a clam style rooftop tent, it's important that the wiring works with the motion of the tent opening, and I made sure to hide the wires so it was neat and tidy from the outside. So I'm so stoked about how this all came together, but what comes next is the most important part, and that is the testing.
Alright, so I've had the Starlink dish on now for the past couple weeks, and I want to report back on how it's been performing in different locations, different climate conditions, how it's been drawing power, and also does that tilt actually make a significant difference to overall performance and reliability. Firstly, I've been using the Starlink Unlimited plan, which is $200 a month, so it's not exactly the cheapest, but if you compare it to different, satellite phones or SOS subscription models, it's actually not outrageous, and we're going to be using that data quite a lot on our trip. However, if you don't need unlimited data, there are cheaper plans you can subscribe to. In terms of power draw for the Starlink unit, it made a lot of sense to switch over to that 12 to 30 volt step-up converter. Previously, going through the 240 volt inverter, we were drawing around 3 amps, and then once we switched to that 12 volt step-up converter, we're only using around 1 amp to power the dish. So that's almost saving, 2/3 the power to run it through that converter. So if you're going to be running Starlink on your roof full time, I highly recommend ditching the 240 and going to a 12 volt to 30 volt step-up converter. And now onto the big one. Let's talk about our bracket, how it's been performing and how it's actually affected our overall alignment and reliability of our internet connection. Firstly, this mount, it's been awesome. Not only is it just so sick that we built it in our shed out of what we had lying around, it actually works really well. I've been testing it on some corrugated roads around home, and it does not move. It is proper solid. And the fact that it is so easy to quickly just still deploy, it's just awesome. So I'm very, very happy with the mount. I'm very keen to see how it's going to perform over the next year on the road, but yeah, I think we did a hell of a job with what we had lying around. But the big question is, how has adding this tilt actually affected the overall performance and reliability of Starlink? Well, I've been doing a heap of testing over the past couple of weeks, so let me show you my results.
In my testing, when the dish was flat and the sky is clear from trees, it's been really good, averaging around a 99.9% uptime. It does get affected by heavy weather, but it still works, and still works better than my home internet. In terms of connection while driving, I drove around our area which has a heap of trees overhead. You don't notice anything if you're just surfing the web, but on a phone call it would occasionally stutter a bit. But even then, we still average around a 90% uptime, which when you can barely see the sky is pretty impressive. And once you're out in the open roads, the connection returns to being solid. Pulling into a heavily forested campsite and deploying the tent, we also tested leaving the dish flat mounted to see what effect the tilt has, and surprisingly, you still get reception. However, it does depend on which direction you're facing. If you're facing south, it's generally pretty solid, but if you're facing directly north, you can struggle a bit more with service. The speeds are noticeably slower when it's tilted the wrong way, but it'll still load to what you need. However, once we deploy our Starlink bracket tilt, we immediately see the doubling in speed, even in areas where you struggle to see the sky. And once you move to more open camps, the speeds improve drastically. Even without the tilt, the speeds are still pretty solid, but tilting the dish to where it's flat gives you the best speeds and reliability. And that's the big advantage of the tilting bracket. It allows you to camp in whatever direction you want without sacrificing speeds and reliability.
So in the end, I'd call this a success. We've been able to mount Starlink to a rooftop tent while maintaining the highest speeds and reliability. So make sure to get subscribed if you want to see this being tested across Australia. Give this video a like if you enjoyed, and we'll see you all in the next one.